for us, that would be brilliant. Take it away, Andre.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'm Andres Molenko, and I'm your Surgeon at Arms. This meeting of online presenters has now begun. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of our club, you must be current or a former active member of Toastmasters International and have completed at least 6 speeches from either the traditional or pathway programs. Or you have another options. You must have substantial, relevant presentation experience that you demonstrate in 3 to 5 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to board approval. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click and select Rename to do so. We have members and often guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, other professional organizations, we ask that you please be aware of language or word usage that may be considered offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we will be recording this meeting. Your video audio contributions may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, please mute your microphone when you're not speaking. And today's theme is elections. Please welcome our club president, Nick Lahani.
Thank you very much, Andre. Welcome, members, welcome, guests. It's 12th of October and it's getting cold over here. Hands up, who's cold? Okay, well, half of you live in Coral Springs, don't you? Okay, fine. Welcome to tonight's meeting. We're going to have a great time. We've got a great Toastmaster, but before we start that, we have 60 seconds of the most wonderful conference that you've ever been to, described to you by our lovely immediate past president, Lois Margolin. Take it away, Lois.
Thank you, Mr. President. Okay, if you haven't heard by now, put December 5th on your calendar. This is really shaping up to be a fun event. Thank you so much to online presenters for providing names for this. Just giving you a couple of names we heard. Virtually Speaking, Greatest Show Online, Greatest Toastmaster Show Online, Class of the Virtual Cubs, Multi-Club Virtual Conference. But here was the winner. And I gotta say, it became the winner not only because it was a great title, but there were a few of you that actually sent graphics to us. But thank you to Elaine, our Vice President of Public Relations. We are naming our conference Virtual Connection Event for Global Toastmasters. Very excited. We also have Pamela Benjamin, who is going to be leading us with our workshops, and David Carr is going to be leading us with our public relations. We have phenomenal Chief Judge Roger Fung, and the contest master will be Carol Perhinsky. So doesn't that sound awesome? More about the workshops in another section because I only have 60 seconds and there's so much to tell you. Back to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Lois. Really excited to be part of that. 5 clubs going at it, not only for the contest, but also some wonderful workshops there as well. So look out for that, December the 5th. Now, let's get on with tonight's show. Let's get on with our Toastmaster of the evening. Please give a really warm hand for Donna Knight.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an evening where the vote has already been counted. It is the place to be, and you are here to make sure that it has happened. It is a time for election right around the world from various aspects. And today we are only going to be concerned about those that help us to become better speakers, better listeners, better presenters through the online presenters program, Toastmasters International. What are we going to be doing today? We are going to continue to choose. When we think about election, we always think about governments, and that is important. In my country, we recently had election. I know US is having, and there are other countries In our organizations, we're having elections. And today you have elected to support other speakers and to continue to develop your listing. How are we going to do that? We have a wonderful program. We're going to find out what the results is after we have spent some time with online presenters. So ladies and gentlemen, we have an evaluation team led by our general evaluator, Asil, and I will not mispronounce her name. Next thing, she has me elected out of office as the speaker of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, let us hear from our evaluator, Asil, distinguished Toastmaster. Let's welcome her. Come on, this is your vote counting. Thank you. Toastmaster.
Should I introduce evaluators, Donna?
I think we just normally go straight in with the functionaries, the timer, the R counter, etc.
Okay. Hello, online presenters and dear guests. As the general evaluator, today I will coordinate the evaluation team and ask for helpers for their 1-minute functioning reports at the end of the meeting. So now let me introduce our helpers. First goes R counter. R counter, Lucas Calafel. Please introduce your role.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. As the R counter, I will be listening carefully for the common crutch words that we use in everyday speech. When I do hear those crutch words, I will record them, and towards the end of the meeting, I will share my report with everyone here. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Lucas. Timer, Brian Crawford.
Thank you very much, Asil. My name is Brian David Crawford, and I'm the timer today. As you can see, I've already started the clock. When you reach your minimum time, the screen will turn green. When you reach your yellow, it'll go yellow. When you've gone too long, it'll go red. You don't want to find out what happens when you go 30 seconds afterwards. Trust me, it's not pretty. Let's not test me today. Back to the general evaluator.
Thank you so much, Brian. We have our watcher, David Carr. Please welcome him.
So I will be watching your body language, or whatever little body language you can fit into this frame, as well as whatever you can do to make this good TV. Back to you, Asil.
Thank you so much, David. Chat monitor, Marianne Grady. Please welcome her. Thank you.
Good evening, online presenters. I will be paying attention to what the buzz is in the chat, and I will give you a 1-minute report at the end of the meeting.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you. And vote counter, Mahfuzur Rahman.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you're located. As a vote counter, I'll count the votes for each of the following session, prepared speeches, table topic, and our evaluation today. Absolutely, provided that you met the maximum and minimum time, and I will have a report end of the session. You got to vote, 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 and that's it. That's the way we move forward.
Thank you so much, Mahfuzur. Thank you so much. So we will have 3 wonderful evaluators today, Andres Molenko, Emily Thompson, and Graham Cairns. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Grammarian, sorry.
Grammarian. Sorry, Antoinette Jean. Please welcome her.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. I am your grammarian this evening. The word of the day is litany. I already placed it in the chat. It means tedious recital or repetitive series. Example of it, there's a litany of complaints. I will also take note of the good use of the English language, as well as the poor use of the English language, as well as interesting phrases. And I'll provide a report when I'm told to do so. Back to you, Asil.
Thank you so much, Antoinette. I think that's it then. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Donna.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator and your team. Ladies and gentlemen, now you know what the rules are when you go to the voting box. Today, you're just going to hear from those who are giving their campaign speeches. We have 3 speakers today, and at the end, you will be able to vote for your speaker and your evaluator. Our first speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is distinguished Toastmaster Pamela, who will be using body language. She is a Toastmaster for over 13 years, and she speaks about communication, and learning styles. She has elected to speak on these. Her 2 communication styles, she will discuss the pros and cons for them and why they work or they don't work. Let us hear her speech, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished Toastmaster Pamela.
Good morning, good evening. Online presenters. I've been a Toastmaster for 13 years. That's a lot of years and that's a lot of speeches. I'm now on my 3rd path and I am invigorated to work on all these different projects. And I came up on this speech called My Communication Style. Now, when you've been a Toastmaster for a long time, you think you've got some style and you think that maybe you kind of know a few things. Well, here's what my assessment said. It said, now it's on the wrong one. Going forward, what is my communication style? Here is a definition of style. It's someone's verbal and nonverbal messages. How is it understood? What are someone's attitudes toward your style? How is it understood? What is the attitude toward it? Ladies and gentlemen of online presenters, these were my 2 main characteristics. And in general, I've always thought about what feels most comfortable for me. I don't always think about what feels most comfortable for everyone else. So this was an interesting assignment because I really stopped to pause to think about what do people see when I'm presenting? What do people hear when I'm presenting? And these 2 dominant characteristics that I had were the director and analytical. They don't always get rave reviews after I've spoken. Here's some of the things that Toastmasters said. I made a little bubble of the words: decisive, efficient, goal-orientated, not really fuzzy, not really something that wins at speech contest, but I've always worked on it. The second one, task-orientated. It sounds like work, doesn't it? It sounds like work. Task-orientated, communications, fast-paced. Oh my. One thing I've heard over and over and over again in my evaluations as a Toastmaster was, tell more stories. Tell more stories. I have a message. I have something to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to turn this presentation off and I'm going to tell you a story. I was on a swim team, and that swim team had a girlfriend, and I found out as we had swam all summer that we had lived parallel lives. We had lived really close to each other. I was in Illinois and she was just on the other side of Wisconsin. And not only that, but we had graduated from college at about the same time. So we had graduated at the same time, and she had gone into the Air Force and she was flying jets. I went into finance and derivatives and other things, both very male dominated. And I asked her, why did you choose to fly jets? And she said, it was the only thing open. I walked through the open door. So I wanted to ask myself, are my speaking styles because of who I am? Or is it because of how I've been trained, how I think about everything in my world based on my career? That's what I've been thinking about through this. And I am really going to work on telling more stories and turning the PowerPoint presentation off and not trying to constantly give so much detail. And I see some of you smiling because I think maybe you do that a little bit also. So those are my two main speech styles, and that's what I'm going to work on. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing with us your communication styles, sharing stories with us. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Trisha Smith, and she will be talking about body language. Her presentation, use of body language and gestures are part of how we communicate and how they may present different meaning in different cultures. Presenting body language, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, Trisha Smith. Let's welcome her.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters members and guests. I am going to be speaking about body language and gestures. It's not the verbal communication, however, I'm going to be speaking also. So what is body language and gestures? It's non-verbal communication to invoke feelings, emotions, or ideas. We can do this in different ways. We can do it with our head, with our eyes, with our hands, with our body, proximity, distance, movement, many ways. We have 5 basic ways that we communicate just by using facial expressions. Happy, sad, excited, mad or angry, or compassionate. So I am if it's sunny outside. I am if it rains all week. I am if I hear I'm going to have another grandchild. I am if somebody gets me ill on purpose. And I am if I see somebody injured and needs help. There are 4 main types of gestures that can be used to communicate, to enhance communication. Descriptive, which identifies location or distance. Like if I said, oh, I have an Amazon box. Can you put it over there, please? Or over there? Or how about right here? Or if I were describing Toastmasters, we have 3 speakers, 3 evaluators, and 3 or more table topic presenters. With emphatic gestures, it provokes strong feelings. I believe, I have a conviction that everyone should be helping someone else, at least one other person in their life. And suggestive gestures. I think it's really important in 2020 that everyone exercise their right to vote. Do you agree? And prompting gestures. This provokes an audience response. So raise your hand if you have ever, or if you do use body language or gestures in your communication. So just like there's effective communication that can enhance what we say and how we communicate, there's also ineffective communication. So if somebody is nervous, fidgety, not using eye contact, messing with their hair, their jewelry, their clothes, etc., not using good proximity, lots of ways can take away from what we're saying. And the audience is going to pay attention to what we're doing, not what we're saying. So let's talk about a few examples of how body language and gestures mean different things in different cultures. There's many examples. I'm only going to talk about a few. As I mentioned, we can use different ways to communicate body language and gestures. So I'll start with the head. This is yes and no in Western cultures in the US. It means totally opposite in other cultures. Eye contact. When I'm using eye contact, for the purpose of this meeting, it shows respect, engages the audience, focus, and hopefully makes me look a little more confident. It's also used between authority figures like parents and children, teachers and students, etc. Now, in other countries, they're not going to use eye-to-eye contact. They may use eye looking at your neck instead of your eyes because it shows more hostility or disrespect. How about pointing? Now, if we pointed somewhere off in the distance to something, it could be a positive point. Nobody likes to be singled out in a negative way, right? If I were pointing to myself, I would say, I am a Toastmaster in Western cultures in the United States. If I'm in another culture, like the Asian culture, some Asian cultures will say, I am a Toastmaster and point to their nose. Counting. In Western cultures in the United States, we typically start with our fist and our pointer finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In European countries, fist and their thumb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I haven't quite figured this one out, but in Russia, their palms up. Anybody from Russia can enlighten us on that one. With other countries, they have different meanings, different cultures, and something as simple as a bow can mean something different. You may have seen presentations or dance contests. Groups bowing, they may have their arms extended, they may have their arms up, they may use a complete bow from head to toe or a curtsy. So whichever way you use your body language or gestures, the best way to use them is to enhance your communication. It can provoke emotions, feelings, or ideas in positive ways, or diminish the message. Using them together is important to be effective with your communication. Do you agree? Thank you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Smith, for sharing with us, learning to use our body language effectively. So, Toastmasters, we've heard about communication in terms of communication styles. We've heard about effective body language. Well, this is an organization of leaders, so let's now hear about leadership. Our next presenter is definitely one who has been elected into office. Our next presenter is the president of Online Presenters. He will give the first of 2 speeches. They develop your voice, profit today. He will set out the ideas and plans in working with the executive board and lay out the direction upon which the purpose we are to follow, which he proposes we are to follow. With a speech titled, My Vision, Your Vision, Our Vision. Ladies and gentlemen, our president, Nick Lakhani.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This project is Share Your Vision. Actually, I want to share my vision with you today. I want to share what my ideas are for this club over the next year. By the way, today's July the 1st. Don't tell anybody. What I want to do is to tell you a little story first. A few months ago, probably 6 months ago, I did a role. It wasn't one of the big roles. It wasn't evaluator. I think it may have been, I don't know, watcher, chat monitor. It doesn't really matter. I took a role. And then I had a general evaluator, but that never gave me feedback. But this is an advanced club. How can I get better without feedback? And I wasn't happy. Okay, I bit my lip. 2 weeks later, same thing. And I noticed something. I wasn't really happy with the general evaluations because they weren't strong enough. They didn't give recommendations. How can we improve? We can all say, yes, I loved your speech, I loved your evaluation, but how do we improve? And so I went to the president, Lois, and I said, I'm really not happy about this. What are you going to do about it? And what she said was, well, Nick, what do you suggest? Oh, okay. Well, in my clubs, I've done this and this. And so I gave her some ideas that I would actually run with. Having said that, things happened, things got better, and I was happy. A few months later, I got the call. We want you. We want you for what? We want you to take a role. Oh, no, I'm too busy. We want you to be president. Why wouldn't I? And so I set about that process. We go and get elected, don't we? We like the idea of being president. But what is it I want to share with you? I want to share with you three things. Yes, it's our vision, my vision, your vision, and our vision. But also, if you have a look at the title now, I've changed it. And I've actually said, well, really, I'm looking at clarity and collaboration and connection. Because that's what I want to feel. I want to feel as though we know our place here. We know what our roles are in the executive board as well as in our meetings. I want to know that the evaluators know their jobs. I want to know that the speakers know what they're doing. I want to know that the vote counter knows what they're doing. I want everybody to feel comfortable here and be clear about the role and then deliver it really well, crisply, smoothly. Make sure the transitions are very strong and smooth. Clarity. Because if we don't know what we're doing, how can we all stick it together and make it look and feel great? And that's the first thing I want you to think about, clarity. Why do you come here? What are you doing? What role are you doing? And what are you going to take away from this? Because if you're not taking anything away from this, then I think you're doing something wrong. So have a think about it. Clarity. The second item I want to talk about is this idea of collaboration. Yes, I want to see us working together. I want to work with the executive board closely, get to know them, get to know how they work, what they like to do, how they like to communicate. And I'm sure we're going to have a few bumpy rides and there'll be a few things that go on, but we will iron it out. We will work together. We will collaborate. We want to encourage people, not just in the board, but members throughout, to work together to get involved in projects, something like the speechathon. Lucas is going to be the Toastmaster for the next one, which is going to be on Halloween, 31st of October. Sign up for your speech there. A speechathon is where somebody organizes it, runs it, is the Toastmaster. We get speakers in and we evaluate each other. And it's great fun. And we work together. We collaborate. We have a good time. We learn something new. And then we go off home. In terms of collaboration, there are other things that we can do with other clubs and so on as well. Well, let's leave that for a second. I'm going to go to the third item, which is actual connection. Connection, I really want more connection within the club. There's already a lot there. I want you to actually work together more. For example, you can be a mentor or a mentee. You could actually just help somebody on a project, maybe part of their HPL, their guidance committee. There's a number of things that you can do to work more closely with the members to then have that connection. Another way to look at connection is to look outside of the club. I'm involved in multiple clubs, and it's natural for me to look outside and say, hey, let's go out there and see what actually people are doing. Let's work together with them to build something. And that's where this idea came about in May and June, when I was sitting doing a speechcraft course with our friend Christian, who is VPE, in Mauritius. And that's where I was working. I was connecting with the clubs out there. And so we said, let's do something together. Let's do a global conference. Wow. I really hope that comes about. But you get the idea that it's not about just the building, it's not about the process, it's not about tick box ticking. It's about working with people, showing your passion, and learning from each other, because that's why we come here. Yes, it's a good laugh. We have a good crack. We have a good time, but we also come here to learn, and we can learn with each other by working with each other, helping each other. Look at the newsletter that Elaine and the team have produced. Fantastic. And one of the things on there she's asking for is, how can we get help for your project? You may be doing a HPL where in your bricks and mortar club. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't have somebody from this club on your guidance committee. Think outside the box. Whatever you do, get credit for it. Whatever you do, follow the 3 C's: clarity, collaboration, connection. Make online presenters stronger and show up, learn something new, and have fun doing it. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. President. We were wondering why the timer was so excited and rubbing his hands, but we were very impressed with your speech, sir, your vision for this club, the 3 C's. Ladies and gentlemen, we have heard for it. The voting polls are now open. You see the timing in the speeches, and you will send your vote privately to our vote counter. But let's take a little breather here. It is this time when we're very excited to increase the number of, should I say, incumbents to this club. I give control now to Toastmaster Louis Brown. Please take it away.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, on behalf of online presenters, Toastmasters, it is my duty and privilege to induct Jeanette Francois into our club. This is an important occasion, both for Jeanette and for our club. As experienced speakers and Toastmasters, this individual will enrich us as we strive to enrich her in a spirit of sharing and enjoyment. Together, we expand our effectiveness as dynamic leaders, presenters, and communicators. Jeanette, please wait until I call on you to affirm your commitment to the Toastmasters promise. In the presence of online presenters, do you, Jeanette, pledge to attend meetings regularly and prepare for each assignment, to actively participate in club activities, to evaluate others in a positive, constructive manner, to build open, friendly relationships with our fellow members, and to bring other new members into the club so that they too can benefit from the Toastmasters experience? Jeanette, please unmute and say, I do.
I do.
Wonderful. To the current members of Online Presenters, I remind you of your pledge to support Jeanette in her quest for self-improvement, to provide her with positive, helpful evaluations, to maintain a friendly, supportive atmosphere, and to make her Online Presenters Toastmasters membership a rewarding and fulfilling experience. Congratulations, Jeanette. Welcome to Online Presenters. Attendees, feel free to unmute yourselves and give Jeanette a warm welcome round of applause.
Hey, welcome, Jeanette. Well done. Welcome, Jeanette.
Welcome. Welcome to the team, Jeanette.
Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, sir. Yes, welcome. We're so excited to have her on the team. As the team goes, we're able to do more for clarity, collaboration, and working together. We have that in this club. And Jeanette, you're here at the right time. But why should I tell you? We will now hear from everybody before the polls are closed, and we're going to ask for a table topics master, Toastmaster Elaine. Please, let's hear from everybody on this election day. Toastmaster Elaine.
Hello, my fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and all the role functionaries this evening. I'm so glad to be with you. So 2020 is turning out to be a dynamic year. There's certainly, in the United States, is a litany of attacks that go back and forth between the presidential contestants and the parties who are supporting them and wanting them to win. Each of us has to look at the world situation with new eyes based on the polarity going on and also COVID-19. Some of the difficulty that's showing up in the United States is that poll signs that support particular candidates with greater frequency are being stolen or destroyed. I'd like to call on Roxanne. Roxanne, how would you respond to an incident of someone caught in the act of removing or damaging your signs on your property?
I would like to have some clarification, if you would, Elaine. When you say my signs on my property, am I the candidate? Are these signs that represent me, or is it signs of the candidate I support in the election?
These would be signs that you have put on your property to show your support of a particular candidate.
Okay. And I have witnessed, caught in the act, someone destroying said signs in some way.
Destroying or trying to remove.
Or trying to remove. All right. Y'all be warned. I am curious to see what will happen if I go over time. So, such an act might prompt me to engage in conversation. I would take it as an opportunity to perhaps launch discussion. However, I am not so crazy that I would engage in discussion someone who is not receptive to hearing. So as I approach, perhaps with a sort of, I take it then that your support goes to the opponent, and hopefully we can take a conversation there. What I would see their act as isn't so much the vandalism, but their voicing their opinion in the matter. Because elections and support and politics are so highly charged and so emotionally charged, and we know that emotion shortchanges logic, my first thinking would be that this person probably cannot be reasoned with. Oh, I'm getting close. Ooh, thank you, BDC. So that would be my approach. But you know what? Let's not test it. I know what happened when Pandora's box was opened. But that would be the avenue I would go down, and I'd test it as I go along. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Roxanne. I know you have a fiery spirit, but I really appreciated hearing that you would dare to engage in civil conversation. Next, and this is on a similar train of thought, and this is for Carl Walsh. Carl, how would you respond to an incident of someone similarly removing or damaging signs on your neighbor's property who happens to be a candidate you know you're not voting for?
I would find that person's address and mail them a thank you note. I think one of the worst things about election time is all the signs and all the lawn signs. I can't stand it. And do you really think you're changing someone's vote by littering the neighborhood? Really? And do I want the possibility of violence right next door to me? Probably not. And in these times in America, sad to say, there is a real threat of violence with something as simple as a yard sign. I will say, when I was young, In 1968, at the election there, I was very into the politics, and I worked on both campaigns, both Nixon and Humphrey, because I wanted to understand how the process worked. And I was a sign sticker like the best of them. I was up there plastering signs everywhere for both sides. But I outgrew that. I really don't need that anymore. We do have a secret ballot here in this country. It is a good thing, and I live by it, and I would like my neighbors to live by it. Madam Table Topics.
Well, thank you, Carl. And I imagine if more people thought the way you did, we'd have fewer trees cut down to be producing signs. The next question, I'd like to invite our guest, Elizanne, to answer. Elizanne, can you tell me about a time when you were excited to be going to the polls to cast your vote?
Thank you so much, Elaine. The first time I had the opportunity to vote was it was just like you gave me a birthday party or something, because I always looked at my parents going to vote every year and wanted to know what the excitement was about. So the year that I got to vote, I went, and in my country, I came from Trinidad and Tobago, and you had to dip your finger in the ink, so everyone knew that you voted. Once I voted, I came home and I was just like, I voted, just to make sure that everyone knew that I took the opportunity to vote for my candidate. So this was my most memorable time voting. Also, when I came to this country and I had my opportunity to vote for the first time, that also was another exciting time. Just being able to exercise my duty as a citizen of the country was great for me. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Elizanne. I like that idea, dipping the finger into ink. Of course, with COVID-19 going on, I guess they wouldn't be allowing that. We might spread COVID germs through the ink. Here's a question for Jim Barber. Jim, sometimes it seems like we might need a different kind of leader during our times of COVID-19 and seemingly rapid environmental or climatic change. What cartoon-like or fictional character is a leader that would make an effective motivator and leader in our most unusual times?
Madam Topics Master, my fellow Toastmasters, our most welcome guests. Oh, I was hoping that you were going to give me a hard question, something really challenging, something that I would have to work on, but that one is so easy. What cartoon character would be the leader that we need during times of crisis, the COVID or climate change or anything like that? And depending upon your gender, there are two different answers. For one set of people, Superman is the obvious answer. I mean, he is the unqualified, indisputed leader among people. There are a litany of characteristics, notice I put that in, a litany of characteristics that say why Superman would be such an effective leader, the leader for our time. However, I recognize that our time does recognize diversity. And so consequently, if Superman is not the appropriate leader that you want, I also think Wonder Woman would be an effective leader that would lead us out of these times of crisis into more stable times that we could handle. So whether you go with Superman or Wonder Woman, either of those characters, either of those cartoon characters, I think would be the wonderful leader that we need in these tumultuous times. And I'm looking forward to making that a possibility. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Jim Barber. Powerful men, a powerful man, a powerful woman. Sounds like a good balanced answer to me. The next question is going to be for Marty Sandler. Marty, how has COVID-19 impacted your own thoughts or plans about participating in the U.S. presidential election? Do you need me to repeat the question, or do you have it, Marty?
I believe I have it. Let us find out from my answer whether I got it right. The coming election is one that I have to admit I had a choice for several months ago, long before the COVID-19 problem really arose. And there's a simple reason for that. While I respect the office of President of the United States, the individual who holds that office does not strike me at this moment as being worthy of my support. I truly believe that the United States is worse off because we have a president who, in a time of crisis, first pretended, or maybe he really thought, that the COVID-19 virus was not important. And we have, I would say, a very difficult situation in that we don't really trust our institutions anymore. After all, we know that our current president probably did not get as many votes as his opponent. And I just have no idea, given the many things that can happen, who our next president will be. But I sincerely hope that there is a different person in the White House than the gentleman who currently occupies the position of President of the United States, because while I respect the office, I truly have no respect at all for the individual who now holds it. And I sincerely and deeply hope that he disappears from public view in the near future. And that's what I have to say on the subject. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much. Have we completed the questions, or is there time for one more?
You got time for a quick one.
Time for a quick one. Okay. This is a question for Lisang. Lisang, do you follow inaugural ceremonies and celebrations for candidates of high office who have won, but you did not support?
Elaine, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Lisang, do you follow inaugural ceremonies and celebrations for candidates of high office who have won an election, but you didn't vote for?
Thank you, Elaine, for the question. The truth is that I have never voted because this year is the first time I vote, but I do follow inauguration ceremony of those high officials. Of course, like President Obama, even like President Clinton, I believe I was here, and recently President Donald Trump. I know that this is a huge event. And when I follow the ceremony, I often think, yeah, maybe one day I'm going to vote. And I may or may not vote this candidate. I sometimes wonder why we elect certain candidate, which just makes no sense, and which nobody think he or she will be elected. So that said, I'm so glad that this year I have the right to vote. I just, applied and I become citizen of this country during 1996, which is just after the general election. And this year I have the right and I voted, and I hope that my vote will be counted. Back to you, Elaine.
That concludes our table topics question related to elections and voting. It was a fine litany of answers. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master of online presenters. As I close my term as your Toastmaster of the Day, I am glad that during my tenure we had communication styles, body language, and the vision of online presenters, plus a litany of other topics. But just before I vacate office, I am going to give control to our evaluators and their team, and we're going to encourage them as they support us. Just before she leaves office, she will return.
Okay, I think Don is frozen.
Yeah, I will take here.
Okay, sorry, table topics need to be voted for. Thank you.
Okay,
Timer, yeah, go ahead, Asil.
Can you please let us know who are eligible?
I posted that in the chat. Everyone but Marty is eligible for winning today.
Thank you so much, Brian. BDC. So as I said, as a general evaluator today, I'll coordinate the evaluation team as helpers for their 1-minute functionary reports, and then I'll put my 10 cents in for an overall evaluation. Our first evaluator, Andrei Molenko, he will be evaluating Pamela Benjamin's speech. Please help me welcome Andrei Molenko.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and Pamela, what a speech. What a speech. Clear, confidence on 2 different presentation styles in your communication. I was drawn into your speech straight away. You introduced yourself. You said that you've been a Toastmaster for many years, and I could see that you were enjoying yourself. You are a confident speaker. You come across as you really, really like to tell us your story. Then you went to the story through your powerful slides. I really like them. They were not too much. It wasn't too much of a script as some of the speakers can do. I really like that. I could feel that I was curious. I felt curious to find out when that story would start. And then you told us your story. That's what happened between you and your friends many, many years ago. Powerful visuals, great story, confidence, and engagement with the audience. All those factors put together, they made your first speech in our club enjoyable. I think we all know at the same time for experienced speaker it's important to have a story as yours. I think your speech would be much more engaging if you could have started your speech with a story. It was about your story, so start with that. And then tell us another story if you wish in the end of it. I think we all would love to hear that. Plus, you have that likable personality and you really want to put your points clear to us across. I think we all could see that and sense that. At the same time, I think we all know the importance of taking a pause. No rush. This is your time as the speaker. So perhaps for the next time, if you could take a pause and just relax and make us all relax and listen, give us be more curious about what you have to say. Overall, I think your speech was positive, powerful, engaging with clear structure. Taking into account, taking a bit of pause and tell us more of your stories. Then it would be bang on. Thank you very much for your speech, Pamela. I enjoyed, look forward to hearing you more. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master. Oh, evaluator, sorry.
Thank you so much, Andre. You're great. Thank you. Our second evaluator, Emily Thompson. She will be evaluating Trisha Smith's speech. Please help me welcome Emily Thompson.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, and thank you, Trisha Smith, for giving us this wonderful discussion of all the ways in which nonverbal communication occurs. What I would like to tell you about what I saw, what I heard, and then how that made me feel. I'm using some gestures here that I learned from you. What I saw was someone giving a confident, well-constructed speech. I know from your profession that this is something that you do. You communicate between buildings and you help educate other people in other realms of your business. You project a calm, confident, well-spoken image, and I think it's just perfect for your position. So I thought that was very good. You had a very thorough speech. It was very educational, and that's something also that's an aspect of your job. You gave us non-communication that referred to body parts that we communicate with, distance from the camera, facial expressions, types of gestures, effective and ineffective communication, use of eye gestures, pointing, and then bows. So it was quite comprehensive. And I felt like I learned a lot. I have some things you might consider with what I saw, and they're just these little tiny picayune points. You have a very nice background. Behind your right hand is something that looks like a painting. And if you could just pull that, anyway, we could see something with color and the rest of it is plain. Perhaps you would consider making that not visible to us just by turning your camera a little bit. Another thing that you might consider is standing farther back. In order to give this review to you, I stood farther back from my camera. When your hands are close to the camera, you can see my hands. My hands do not look like yours. Your hands look lovely. But you might consider pulling them back just a couple of inches so they look a little smaller relative to the rest of your body. Just like 2 inches makes a difference. So what I saw was very pleasant. What I heard was a well-rehearsed speech. You seem so relaxed and confident, and I really like to see that, Tricia. It was very fluid. And then how I felt. I enjoyed the presentation. I love learning things. That's why I come to online presenters. Some things you might do to challenge yourself. It might be possible to take some content out of the speech and to do a sample conversation. Well, this is what she said, and it made me mad. Well, I think I'd like to do this instead. You know, you could give us a sample conversation that perhaps you heard. Another way would be to stop and tell a story about communication or even miscommunication. All in all, I really enjoyed your speech. I really look forward to your next one. Thank you so much for sharing, Tricia. And back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Emily. You're great. Our third evaluator, Graham Cairns. He will be evaluating Nick Lahani's speech. Please help me welcome Graham Cairns.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, members and guests. Nick today was presenting a level 5 required project from the visionary communications path. Now, because it's a level 5, many members won't have seen this demonstrated and may not realise that the purpose of the project is for the member to develop a detailed vision for his or her personal life, professional life, or an organisation, and to share an aspect of that vision. One of the things that Nick was asked to do was to focus on concepts that are relatable to his audience while sharing the thoughts behind the vision to help write a speech that's engaging and true to the project. If the vision is for an organisation, and obviously in this case it was, to relate the impact of that vision to his personal life, but also to the lives of others in the group. Did Nick achieve this aim? In general, I have to say, yes, I think he did, and I commend him on doing this. This is a project that I have not yet done. I've been putting it off because it's a fairly big project. So congratulations, Nick, on doing it. Congratulations particularly on using stories to make the point. We heard in 2 speeches tonight references to stories, and the reason that stories are so effective is because they allow the audience to take the general, which is being presented by Nick in this case, and making it personal so that they absorb it themselves and become a part of the vision. I also love the expressive nature of Nick's presentation, his gestures and his vocal variety. There were a few suggestions that I would make for Nick. One was he made reference to having changed the title of his speech to the new one, but didn't actually, none of us knew what the old title was. So that was, I'm sort of scratching my head thinking, I actually did know the old title, but if I didn't know, I'd be thinking, what is he talking about here? Don't throw that sort of change in if your audience doesn't know what it is that you're going to be changing, unless you tell them. He also spoke about his vision, but the area that I have made the biggest suggestions to him in the written evaluation are specifics. Nail down the specifics of what it is that you are suggesting that we do. For example, Nick said, I want you to actually work together, but then didn't say, one of the ways I want you to work together is to do this. One of my vision, part of my vision that I would like us all to do is to achieve this by doing this. Not just saying, I want us to achieve this, but to say by whatever method it is that we're going to do. But again, he returned to the stories because I think they're really good, a good way to take the general and insert our own experience at the end, and ended with inspiration. So did Nick achieve his purpose? Yes. Could he do better? Probably, but that's why we're here. Has he achieved his purpose? We will find out in a few weeks when he presents speech 2 in this series. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Graham. Wonderful. Next, we will hear from our timer. Please let us know if all of the evaluators are qualified for vote. Yes. They are, thank you. And they are qualified, and please take a moment to vote for the best speech evaluator and pass your votes to the vote counter, Mahfuzur Rahman, when you're done, okay? So next we will hear from our accounter, Lucas Kalafel. Please take it away, Lucas.
Thank you, General Evaluator. What I have created here, well, I didn't create it, I can't take credit for it, but what I am reusing is this spreadsheet provided by Trisha to record all of the crutch words that were used during the meeting. You can see here in column B your name, and then which crutch words you used In column O, you'll see your total, and our total for the meeting is 64. Underneath, you'll see the most frequently used crutch words, which would be, I think it's yeah, it's at 44%. If you would like any additional feedback on your crutch words or how well you did, feel free to send me a private message. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Wow, impressive. Thank you, Lucas. Our next helper is grammarian. Please help me welcome Antoinette Trim.
Good evening once more. I must say the word of the day was not used extensively. Elaine used it twice, and Donna and Jim used it once. For Pamela, she had an interesting phrase like tell more stories. Nick with clarity, collaboration, and collection. And Trisha with body language can diminish the message if used inappropriately. And that's my feedback for today. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Antoinette. Our next helper is Watcher. Please help me welcome David Carr.
Thank you, Sil. I think the treat of the night was definitely Tricia. She just seemed to be having a lot of fun with the topic of body language and showing by doing. She managed to get her hands into the frame, which you have to actually concentrate on a little bit when you're in line and the frame has limits. Sometimes we have people doing hand gestures, but they're off the sides. And I particularly enjoyed raise your hand if you use gestures, and then closing it out with, do you agree? And it was some sort of hand raising thing going on there too. So she definitely used the theme along with the body gestures that she was using. We had some good backgrounds. Pamela, I think that's reality behind you, but it's an attractive reality. No, virtual? Okay. Anyways, it's a fun one. And I enjoyed some of the voting things. I'm the only one who went partisan, not as much as this one, which I use for campaign training. But anyways, get out the vote. Please vote. Those of you who are within voting distance of the American democracy, such as it is. Yes, BDC, I see it. Back to you, Sil.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, David. Our next helper is chat monitor, Marianne Grady.
Hi, everybody. Our chat tonight was kind of busy. As always, Lou Brown gave our guests a warm welcome. When Lois announced our conference name, that it would be Virtual Connection or VCon on December 5th, Elaine and that title got a lot of love on the chat. BDC noted that he had a problem with confidence, and the problem was that he had too much of it. Roxanne noted that there were smooth segues by our Toastmaster of the day. BDC agreed, but Donna's response was that she couldn't find her glasses. Congrats to the speakers were there. Welcome to Jeanette. Lou has no signs because he has no lawn. And after Elizanne's table topics about dipping finger in the ink, he said, don't scratch your nose. So he was taking the funny pills today. For the cartoon leaders, we had Mighty Mouse, Mr. Peabody, and the Wayback Machine. There was a whole litany of them. Foghorn, Leghorn, Superman, and Wonder Woman were ineligible because they were born outside the US. We learned that crack was an Irish phrase that was similar to having a good time. And let's see, we found out that BDC's dreaded punishment for going over time, which, oh, I'm there, was that the light would flash. So, woo, back to you, Asil.
Thank you so much, Maria. Now, my 10 cents. Please don't see feedback as criticism. We're all here to help each other. My suggestion is to try to do your project speech again and implement all of the recommendations you got from your evaluators, because they were really good ones. As today, as I saw that Graham did write evaluation, he let the listeners and that what was the theme, and did the speaker meet the objectives of the project, and address the members in the third person when you commend the speaker, and when you give recommendations, address them in the second person. So well done, Graham. And Andre, your recommendations were great. For Pamela, I would suggest, can you change your, before you give your speech, you should probably change your project, because it says mentoring, but today you talked about communication style. And also, Andre didn't say that if you met the purpose of your project. Trisha Smith, please don't thank the audience at the end of the speech. We should thank you. You were great. Nick, I probably would add to Graham's suggestion that you're swaying on your chair and used lots of hands. Our wonderful Toastmaster of the Day, Donna. We loved having you as our Toastmaster of the Day. You were welcoming, and you made me wake up completely with changing the structure of the meeting. I had to ask helpers to introduce their roles. Thank you. And Timer, I loved your time device, and you were so cheerful and supportive, and I loved watching you. Table Topics Master, Elaine, topics were related to the theme of the meeting. You were commenting on the speaker's speech, and the members called on the appropriate order. Well done. Participants, great job. Some of you had plenty of time, so you could use to turn into a short speech. So just remember about that. Lysian, you might want to change your green profile when you turn video off, because it confuses with the timer. So next time, please use another image. Now, I think my time comes. So vote counter, Mahfuzur Rahman, please let us know who is the best of the best.
Madam General Evaluator, it's been a very closely contested, and I have to admit, going through 3 times, there has been, for the second position, there is tie, all right? And you can only imagine the best speaker. So absolutely, and I don't like to cast my ballot, but I had to interject to bring out the best. So with the closest vote, the best speaker for tonight, can we have the drum roll? It's none other than the presiding Mr. President, and he likes to continue on that. So absolutely, he's running again. The table topic is, I was really, counting, and I have to admit, it was the same scenario. Roxanne, congratulations. And not the least, our 3 best evaluators, they all competed, there was a huge competition. And I had to interject again with my vote. Andre, congratulations.
Thank you, Mahfuzur. I agree with you. They're all best. And congratulations, Nick, Roxanne, and Andre. On this note, I will return my stage back to our Madam Toastmaster of the Day, Donna.
Thank you, Madam President. I return control, Mr. President. It is your show. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Asil and Donna. Brilliant jobs by yourself and everybody who took part today. Thank you very much. I've got a couple of announcements. Lucas is our contest chair next week for our evaluation contest. He's asked me to share one thing with you. You should all have received an email from contest chair Lucas on October the 6th requesting the completion and submission of both the eligibility and the contest profile form. If you did not receive it, please check your spam folder first. And if you still don't see it, please send an email to Lucas. Please be mindful that the deadline for submit both forms is Friday this week. And these forms, which take you about 3 minutes or less to complete, you can send the completed forms via email to Lucas. He's put his email address in the chat. Please get it done. Without those, you cannot compete. What a brilliant meeting today. Thank you all to our guests. After we close the recording, I'll have a chat with one or two guests. Brilliant, great to see you all, and really get excited and turn up early for the contest next week. And with that, I declare the meeting closed, and let's talk to one or two of our guests, shall we?